You don't like finishing games?
No.
Hey, welcome to episode 174 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Blake.
Hey, Nick.
And Paul.
Hey.
And a special guest, Kamil.
Hello.
Camille,
yes.
Yeah. See, I asked him about this. I thought I'd been doing it right. I kind of had been doing it right, and now I'm in
You're
my
doing
head
it
about
right, yeah.
So, Camille, composer extraordinaire for Path of Exile and other things.
Other things, yes.
Which we might touch on in a little bit. We start every podcast off by talking about what we've been playing. I'll go first real quick. I've been playing Pal World a little bit.
Oh, right.
It's the flavor of the month.
New one, yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
Why am I not surprised?
Interesting. Well, it's funny because it's not really my kind of game, right? It's a survival game. It's early access. This is exactly Blake's kind of game. Blake, have you been playing
No,
Pal
I
World?
haven't.
Yeah.
I've been playing...
Have you been playing the other
Valheim.
one?
What?
Oh, there's the other one that
Shrouded.
came out too. And
Enshrouded?
yeah, that
Yeah,
one.
I have actually... That one appeals more to me than Pal World.
Okay.
But there's Pokemon in Pal World.
There is Pokemon.
Sorry,
Well,
I mean there's legally distinct pals.
Yeah.
In Pal World.
Yeah. Yeah, like they both... both a game I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I have so much to play.
And you've already been playing.
And I've already been playing...
Is it early access, the game you've been playing? Or did it actually launch?
I'm sure Valheim actually came out. I'm quite sure. It must have.
You've
it
been playing
must have.
Valheim.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The survival game.
Yeah.
It's been at least out for a while though.
Yeah.
In terms of
Years. It's been out for years.
Now, before we jump into what Paul and Camille have been playing, I talked to Blake earlier this week, and he told me something very interesting about the way he's been playing Valheim, which is even more in line with the Blake we know and love, which is he plays it like a city management.
Yeah. So I was playing with my friends, and we started off just doing the usual thing, cutting trees and going and getting iron and stuff like that. And we had a deposit of iron basically out in an area, and we kept running out there, and then running back at night, and everyone was constantly getting lost, getting chased by monsters, running back, and I was like, there must be an easier way. And there is like a farmer's plow in the game that you can use to level the ground or raise it. And I was like, what if I just like made a road through the forest to this like this
resource hub or whatever.
Yeah, this
Slowly
resource hub,
building
which
a fire.
yeah, which is what it turned into, because I then built this thing. I put like campfires all along it, so it was like lit up at night, and campfires would like stop monsters spawning too close to it. So it was like a safe. It was safe. It was a road. It was a safe
you built a road.
Yeah.
I built a proper road, and then I set up like a little resource hub in. The guys had already set up a little resource hub, but it sucked because they were like, we can't stay here because we're constantly getting attacked by monsters at night.
Yeah.
So I fortified it and made it like its own little thing, and now got a road going from our main base to like this resource thing. And there's also a cart in the game, and my friends had told me, oh, don't bother with that cart, it's useless, because in previous games they'd been trying to run it through a forest,
Actual forest
an actual
with trees
forest
and
with
everything.
trees and things getting in the way, and then. So I was like, surely they wouldn't just put this in the game like to be a completely useless thing. And then you try it on the road, it's perfect, works perfect. And that's what we were doing. We were just like carting stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
You
And
also organized
yes,
their
I got
chests.
I was getting so into just like creating infrastructure for my friends that I went and like reorganized all the loot that we'd had, because we just had chests all around our base, just with like
misc.
random misc loot, and it was driving me nuts. And so I spent probably like 2 hours one morning when no one else was on, just organizing stuff and building like a proper like
It's not the
storage
most
thing
Blake
with
thing
like
you've
signs. I had signs that said like
Yeah.
wood, stone, ammo, whatever. It was all like perfectly organized, and I was like,
I can
I was
relate
so
to
happy
that.
with it.
And you were having a blast.
I was having a blast. That road as well, like the night that I like
so smooth.
the night that I stopped, the night that I logged off and came up with the idea, I woke up in the morning like excited to make this thing.
We're gonna build a road.
I was like, I'm gonna build it, and I built it when no one else was on, and I had to cut down trees along the way, and it was just like a full infrastructure project.
All right, Paul.
It was a great time. It was a great time.
Boy.
I haven't really been playing much.
Oh yeah, that's true. You've had a big purchase. Put it that way.
Yes.
Yep. Lego shoes. No.
Yeah. Oh wow. I do have Lego
Yeah,
shoes.
you do have those. You bought a house.
Yes.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
But that means you haven't had time to do anything other than
No,
move,
so I've been doing like base building, but in a house.
Yeah. Have you built any roads?
No.
They're already
Amateur.
pre-built,
I've
right?
cleared some paths.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Have you organized boxes?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So was it fun?
Kind of. It's
Oh.
very satisfying.
Okay.
It's just a lot.
Yeah.
Like all
Different
day.
type of game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very different kind of game. Camille, what have you been playing?
Elden Ring, mostly.
boy.
Haha.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
specifically lately, I don't know why. Just the second playthrough,
Second playthrough. Okay. Was
Yeah.
this a new game plus?
but no, that was second playthrough with different character.
Okay.
Because I wanted to try like completely contrasting build.
Okay.
Like I started like a pure mage,
Yep.
and now I'm playing like a pure tank.
Yep.
With the full Radahn's armor.
Okay, yep.
And both swords.
Uh huh.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's very satisfying, and it feels different. So yeah, it's like I promised myself to play like 30 minutes before
Yeah.
sleep, and I end up like playing up to 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, as you're a listener, you know my thoughts on Elden Ring.
Yeah. I don't think I know it that well, but I yeah, Blake mentioned a couple of things which.
I played Pure Mage as well the first playthrough, and then I did New Game Plus. And in New Game Plus, I respected to melee, and I was playing with like I forget what it's called. It's the sword that basically heals you on kill. It's covered in little arms, and you get it from the giant snake guy.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think is insane.
Reinhardt, yes. Yeah.
Yes. And I found melee combat to be much both more enjoyable, but also easier, which surprised me because everyone was talking about how spells were overpowered.
Yeah. I hear that as well. Yeah, it's kind of like a cheating playing as a mage.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a big difference. But I think it's mostly because of how tanky you can get. Unless you
Yeah.
play more with dexterity, like light armor or something, and you just want to be quick.
As mage, I played totally dexterity.
No, but I mean
oh.
like with the melee
As
character.
melee, as melee, I think I was kind of doing moderate armor. Like it was about as heavy as I could get without being weighed down. Which, I forget what I was using. But so you did a fresh playthrough as melee.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? How do these two builds compare?
It's just exploration is stressless.
Stressless?
I mean, not always, but like
Yeah.
if it's like open, like if it's outdoor,
Yeah.
it's almost stressless.
Yeah.
Because it's of course you can get sometimes between a couple of giants or something and get
Yeah. Get squished.
or something. But I would say that's something which and I know the game not that much, but at least enough. to
avoid some of those ambushes and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
It's pretty much similar when you go to catacombs, but
Yeah.
it still gives you that, like with the mage. Many times I was struggling with flasks and endure the full catacomb and actually get what I want from that place. And now with this guy, and I went with like really heavy option. I think this armor is the second heaviest.
So do you have the slow roll?
No, I have a medium roll because I've got quite a lot of endurance, and I've got this talisman which increase.
Right. The
Okay.
armaments talisman or whatever.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but this one. I mean, everything is super heavy because armor, but also swords as well. But yeah, it's just different type of
Now, I found melee more fun than spellcasting, but I endured the entire game as a spellcaster, and I don't think my flaws with the things I don't like about Elden Ring are not necessarily tied to my play style. But I do find it interesting, the psychological thing where people were like, "Oh, don't do spellcasting; it's cheating; it's way easier." but my experience was not that case.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Your experience.
Well, I think spells are the thing that's more often got like a broken interaction, right? Like
Yes.
very early on in Elden Ring, there was a staff or something you could get that would just increase your damage by absurd amounts, and that got nerfed. But I think there's been a couple of others as well, and it might just be that typically when they launch, those things are more likely to be broken or have broken interactions that you can leverage.
Possibly. I think a big part of it is people ignore the resource endurance part of spellcasting. If you could ignore flasks, it would probably be overpowered because it's a ranged high damage skill. You can kill a lot of things before it reaches you, but you are losing your capacity to heal because you have to carry a bunch of these mana flasks. Especially early game, you have one, maybe two mana flasks, and you can make it halfway through a dungeon before you run out.
Yeah. I think the very basic spell is really powerful.
Yes.
Like, you can use it for a long time.
Yes. The Glintstone Shard.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. And I think it's just for completely new players to the Souls-like games, Like if you start combat and you never played any Souls games, like melee combat, you can get punished like very quickly.
Yes.
If you start underestimating your enemy and suddenly you've got two hits, and you're even if you are melee character.
Yes.
So I think just keeping enemies at distance, it's something which straight away like the idea of playing as a ranged character.
Yeah.
And you don't have to craft anything, any arrows, bolts, and anything.
True.
In this case.
Although, are bows good? Because
they
are. Because I got one. I tried using one. The damage is terrible. The range is hard to use. It takes like 7 or 8 seconds between shots.
Yeah.
It seemed completely.
I literally only ever used bows to like pull enemies towards me. That's it.
Yeah. And they outrange spells. That's the advantage.
Yeah. It's just the most appealing for someone who has no experience with that game.
I guess like are there bow main characters? Like, can you build a character who in combat uses bows and basically that's it?
I don't think I can answer this question because like I only played mage and melee.
You're not an Elden Ring expert.
No, but no means. Yeah. I don't think you can be an expert with this game if you have like 150 hours so far for the two characters.
Yeah.
That's you. I've seen nothing. I feel like I've seen nothing. Like every time I go somewhere, I discover some completely new things. Even though it's a second playthrough.
Okay. What do you like about Elden Ring?
What I don't like about Elden Ring.
Okay.
I mean, no. It's when it comes to what I like, it's pretty much everything at this point. I just like how immersive it is when it comes to exploration.
Sure.
Still, keeping the Dark Souls vibes.
Okay.
So you get the best of both Dark Souls and the games, let's say like Witcher or something. I mean, visually it's appealing. Audio is great. Music is mostly great.
Do you like the way the quests work?
Yeah, here we go. Because it's an Elden Ring Souls games. I would say
that's a weird caveat, right?
I will explain. I mean, it's the unknown thing. Like I think 2 days ago, I was aware of that boss, but I finally discovered how to get to that boss.
Which boss?
The Lord of the Blood. Lord of Blood. Mog, I think that's the name.
Oh, okay. I think he's like in a secret castle in under the ground, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a...
I haven't done that one. I know about that.
Yeah. So I discovered where is the entrance to get to that part of the underground realm.
It's a big pantheon looking thing, right?
Yeah.
Parthenon, maybe. Rather.
So when you think about this, like how big this place is,
yep.
And how many interesting things you can find there, and the boss itself, and it's like you can easily miss this, like so easily.
Let me ask you, how did you find the boss? And I don't mean like within the game.
Yeah.
Did you stumble across the boss, or did you use a guide?
No, I what I do in Elden Ring, which I don't do in other games that much, or sometimes at all, it's basically scouting everything.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing which I do when I get to the new area.
Yeah.
I just ride on a horse on torrent around and just try to get like all things which I can pick up from the ground.
Yep.
And try to find some entrances and so on.
Yeah, cool.
You know what I do like about Elden Ring?
But that's the second playthrough, and I like this is the I don't remember the name of this snow-filled grounds where you find this. It's the path to
the big cauldron-looking thing.
to Malinia, to the Helic tree.
Oh yes, the Helic tree. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the
that's
down snow area.
yeah.
not
So
up
at the
snow
first
area.
playthrough, I didn't know about this place at all.
Yeah.
To get the medallion,
Yep.
to get a different path with the lift.
Yeah.
So with the second playthrough, I just scan everything, and it gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Sure.
That's what I like about Elden Ring, and that's why I don't have a problem with the way how quest works, because I would just keep going around, and if I hit the wall because something is hard, I just go somewhere else.
Sure. Do you feel like there's a logic to the quests?
I don't know.
So, because here's there's the example I talked to Blake about earlier this week is the wolf quest. Blythe is the character's name.
Mhm.
Like the way it starts off, you go to, it's like the eastern part of Limgrave. There's like a little ruined church, and you hear howling.
Yeah.
And then after you've heard the howling, you have to go back to the church near your starting point and talk to the NPC there about the howling, and he gives you a gesture. And it's like a finger snapping gesture.
Yeah.
And then you go and you do the finger snapping gesture at the church, and the wolf hops down from the roof. Nothing tells you any of this.
Yeah.
And the only way you can do this is for you to notice that there's howling.
Yeah.
Which is not the only place in the game where there's howling, because there's wolves around.
Yeah.
So there's lots of wolves enemies. So you have to notice that this is a different kind of howling, or that this is a significant howling.
I'd say most people would, though, notice that
Let's-
howling was different.
Maybe. I didn't. I did this because there was a guide. And I was like,
I looked up
why-
the guide to figure out what the howling thing was.
okay, interesting. But then you have to go back to starting location, an area you've probably completed stuff in. You've outleveled it. You don't really have a reason to go back to this location, except for this quest. And he gives you a gesture, which you can, whatever. You go do the gesture there, and the quest is unlocked. But the steps are so obtuse. It's a bit like, go to the place, hear the clue, know to go back to the starting place and talk to this NPC, and then
Yeah.
and then
I get what you mean. I mean it's insane. But,
Yes.
but you just told me about this. I didn't know about this, and
Right.
I want to try this.
Okay.
Today. So
Did you meet the
with-
wolf guy at all?
I think so. If it's the guy who,
it's part of the Ronnie quest line.
he helped you with Radan.
Yeah,
Mm.
and then you fight
Yeah.
him later
Yeah.
for some reason.
Oh, I didn't fight with him. I think he died with. I don't know. I don't even know what happened with him. I think I was summoning everyone for Radan's fight,
Yeah.
and I have no idea what happened with them.
If they die during the fight, I think they're still alive.
Okay,
Yeah, because the
makes sense because you can summon.
the jar,
But you've seen that jar later on.
the
somewhere.
Alexander, the jar guy.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
the small quest, like
remember
helping
that,
him.
Yeah, knock him out of the
because-
hole.
Yeah.
Which how does he get in the hole?
I
Doesn't
never
he?
got him out of the hole, I don't think. I remember finding him and being like, what the hell?
He hints pretty. That one's a quest I forgive, because it's like he hints pretty heavily. He says, "Get behind me and do a big powerful attack."
Oh, maybe I did do
Yeah.
that then.
He's also a guy that he calls out to you
Yeah.
when you're walking by.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And he is in a spot that if he didn't do that would probably be kind of hard to find.
Yep. That's true.
But still, for the Elden Ring standards, I think it's very clear.
That was really clear.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been playing Persona 5.
Yeah.
And there are like quests and tasks in there, and some of them require you to kind of do some thinking, talk to the NPCs, and wander around. But it feels a lot more logical to me, and it doesn't require you to go back to your starting place and talk to someone who's unrelated.
You would like a hint, right?
No, I don't even know that I want a hint. What I want is for it to make sense.
Like if you if taking that wolf guy quest, if you hear that howling, right? What would you want that guides you to that guy that
here's a couple things
gives
you
you the
probably
gesture?
do. Yeah. Pan the camera up when you hear that howling. Like it takes the.
Is he actually even there?
Yeah,
he's at the top of the thing.
Can you see him?
Yeah, you can see him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You just have to look up.
I just remember I spent ages trying to climb the walls.
I didn't even know he was up there.
I guess then you have to have this camera panning in different places, and it's like, they have to make a decision whether they will implement something like this at all, and they have to. I think they should use this quite a lot.
Yeah,
and I think that like the idea is great to guide, but it's like so misfitting to the Elden Ring.
It is a change to the Elden Ring dynamic. There's a risk that it removes that immersion because it takes the control away from the player.
I think as a response to what you said, if I would struggle with quests like this in other games, I would have the same reaction.
Yeah.
Which is just this is a very different type of game. It's like very specific, very unique, and that's why I can forgive that. And I don't think I care enough about the story. I mean, the story is important, but it's like it's depicted and like presented differently. It's not like you don't have you don't talk. Your character doesn't talk.
That's true in Zelda.
True.
Oh God.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
What was it? 23 minutes into the
True.
podcast.
It's true in Chrono Trigger. It's true in a lot of
Time for
RPGs.
tennis game.
Hey, Gordon Freeman doesn't talk, right?
Yeah.
And also Gordon Freeman, they don't pull focus away from Gordon Freeman. They don't.
Yeah. I think it's just one of many things which makes story like you experience it a little bit differently, and then you have a side quest. When it comes to main quests, I can agree a little bit with what you're saying. Like especially when it comes to getting the first medallion.
I don't even remember where I got it.
So first medallion for the first leaf.
You get after you scale the wall.
You have like two forts or something, and you have to find some random.
That's right. The first one is like East Limgrave or something like that. Or no, maybe it's like the Southern Peninsula.
But the second one is in
it's like
Khalid, I think, and next to giant dragon, like a
is
dragon
that where
nest.
It was? I thought it was I thought
think
it was
so.
in the section above the lift. Maybe we because
that's the thing.
Two different medallions is the other thing.
No, we're talking about the first medallion. Dectus, or something like this. I don't remember the name. So the pieces are far from each other, and they're in the places where there's like pretty much almost no indication, except, I mean, you have the kind of like an arrow next to each of the side of grace.
Yep.
So I think you just have to really treat this seriously.
Sure.
And but it's like that. That's it. It's like this specific thing could block you for a long time if you don't check any websites or so on.
I don't mind that one because there is a workaround, and I didn't get the medallion the first time. Like I didn't get the medallion.
I don't even know that there's
you can scale the wall, right? There's a cave, and then there's like a path along the wall, and you can climb it, so you can kind of ignore that lift.
Okay.
That's what I was doing when That's what I was doing when I stopped playing. I was like climbing up that wall thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's kind of annoying. But there's a path forward.
Yeah.
But then Blake, for example, didn't know you could get spell casting for a really long time.
Ages. Yeah,
because it requires you to go to the church at the start of Limgrave at night. So you have to go to a specific location at a specific time at the very start of the game. And if you're reasonably well versed in FromSoft games like Blake is, you might rush past it because you've killed all the things there, and then you just never get a key mechanic in the game.
Yeah, it took me ages because I found spell vendors.
Yeah.
Like there was like a woman down in some ruins, and she's like, "Oh, I can teach you stuff," and I was just like, "Great!" And then
it's specifically the summoning bell, actually. I think, right? It's not spells because you can get.
Was it summoning?
I think it's spell. It's the little spirit bell.
Oh, maybe it was something. There was something key. By the way, I was not getting for a long time. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was the.
And then I think I literally saw online some.
Yeah, you said spellcasting, but it's about summoning.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the summoning.
Yeah.
But that's a pretty core feature. Like
it is.
You
but
could play without it, sure.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like saying no shields.
Well, because you're finding all these summons. I remember this. You're finding all these summons, and I was like, oh great. At some point I will be able to use these.
Got to beat a boss or something.
And like that point just never came. And I was like, what? How do I do this? And I think I did eventually just like look it up online.
I had a similar thing, except mine was even more core, and it was leveling up. The first time I played, I went off to the coast, like head west a little bit, and there's like caves along the coast because there's like reasonably enemies there. Caves there are doable, and I thought, okay, well I'll clear out some caves, I'll get some souls, and at some point, I'll be able to use the souls, spend them somehow. And the requirement for getting the ability to level up is you go and find a specific number of sites of grace. But it doesn't include the ones in caves for some reason. For some reason, it just doesn't include them.
Because I do remember it's the lady comes and visits you when you... Is that right? The lady comes and visits you when you go to one of them. But I remember talking to a friend of mine, and that lady visited him at a different side of grace.
Yeah.
So it is depending on how many.
Number.
Yeah.
But it has to be ones in the overworld, not ones
in caves.
It's next to the
isn't it only like
gates,
2 or something?
Yeah, that's where it
3.
happened for me. Yeah.
But the game kind of like keeps you pushing.
Yeah, it sort of guides you in that direction.
By that giant thing, really early on.
You can. If you've touched 2 other sites of grace, it might be 2, but the other way, I touched a bunch. But just not the right ones.
Yep.
And so I had like 7,000, 8,000 souls, something like that, which is a lot at the start of the game.
Yeah, the start
and,
for sure.
Every time I die, I'm like, I don't want to lose them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, losing heaps of runes is one of the most depressing things.
It is.
Yeah.
It is rough. It is rough when you're so close to a level up.
And you're always greedy, that's a different thing, the different conversation. But you're like, I would just keep exploring. I would just check one more corner, and then maybe go back to spend those runes.
But even if late game you can't even spend them, right? You just need a ton of souls or whatever, and it's just the only thing you can do is risk, or you go back and you grind, which is
there's a place in Helix Tree that's like kind of a very late game.
Yep.
And it's like a paradise for farming.
Okay.
Runes. Yeah.
Is it?
It's all those. There's like a prayer room. That's the side of the name of the side of grace.
Yep. It's just at the bottom of the Helix Tree.
And you've got heaps of soldiers, and they're like 2.5K each.
I farmed there.
Oh my god, this is paradise. They're so easy. They usually just do
stay
nothing.
There. You blast them with a couple spells, they die, and they give you. And they also drop a bunch of items.
I think on every level of game, like you can find a place which you can farm. The way that it actually feels like almost like farming way lower with level, like let's say 50, 40 or something.
Yeah.
Even if it's now a 140 level or something.
Yeah. Is that good though?
It is, because it can be like frustrating when you have to farm forever, and you have a situation when you don't. It's a Dark Souls game. Souls-like game. So the benefit from each level is very small.
Yes.
So
and smaller and smaller with each level as well, because the proportional differences.
Yeah. Definitely, like gear gets more and more important after time. Yeah.
Good point. Gear.
Yeah.
Upgrading gear.
Yeah.
There's a limited resource.
Yeah.
It can't be refunded.
No.
So if you early game spend your limited resource badly, you can just end up with a bad build.
There,
Right?
You've got all those bells, which gives you ability to buy those stones and.
Yep, but you can't get ancient dragon stones. You can't get like the.
Yeah, I agree. But when you think about the percentage, how much you get from the last upgrade, it's
Minor?
It's minor.
Fair
Like,
point.
But also, isn't the point? Isn't by the time you're committing those high level resources, you already sit in your build. You're not like testing it out.
yeah,
Because
Yes.
that was the thing with me is like I'd get a new weapon,
yeah.
and I would have to upgrade it a little bit to even get it on par to test
Yeah.
it out, and I'd be committing resources that at the time were scarce.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point where you can start just buying some of those resources, and then I'm like, oh great, now I can test out a whole bunch of like weapons.
Uh-huh.
But then at some point, I'm assuming it will get you basically are locked into the build that you're
Yeah.
that
Well,
you've
at
been
what
playing.
point does that come?
I don't know.
Because
I think you have a lot of flexibility. Like I keep testing weapons throughout the whole playthrough now, and it's just you just have to keep in mind that you can't upgrade to plus 10. You should test with plus 8 usually because that's I think as high as you can get. I might be wrong. As high as you can get when it comes to getting bell and buy materials. And between plus 8 and plus 10, it's not enough difference to not being able like test. Like it's
Sure.
I think it comes at the end comes to what works for you, like what gives you more satisfaction. You know.
yeah,
What works with your play style and
Yeah,
that sort of thing. I ended up going with like a bleed build, so I was upgrading all the bleed thing, and I was into like the katana and stuff, and
Yeah.
the
was
ailments in that game.
But that sounds very cool. I wanted to try something like this.
That was
that's
very cool.
It's definitely more interesting than those two contrasting full mage or full melee. Maybe it's
I think
third one.
you can go full melee and like oftentimes you'll just implicitly be doing some sort of ailment.
Yeah, for sure. Just katana specifically,
Yeah.
like going something slightly different, like not 100% tanky, colossal weapons or something. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite fight in that game?
Every fight is favorite when it's easy in this game.
When it's easy, interesting.
when you beat it first time,
Yeah.
go.
I mean, I actually like fighting dragons in this game.
Okay.
Because they're definitely not the hardest.
Stay between the legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing. Yeah. Depends who you play as, or you use the. I call this a shaper beam.
Oh,
My-
Azur's Comet. or
Yeah.
whatever. Do you do the infinite mana Azur's Comet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With flask,
I think that might be why people think that spellcasting.
Yeah. I was
That was one
like
of
the
the things
combination.
that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like
But you've got
really
to
broken
build
early
up to
on.
that,
Yeah,
right?
you do. You
it's
absolutely
not,
do.
It's not
And-
like
And in fact, it's like also part of a quest,
yeah.
and you have to find this dude's body in a like the third last area of the game.
So you go a significant portion of the game without this infinite mana.
I think
And-
it could be like mid game, but the problem is, I mean, it's a bit overrated. Like when you unleash,
Yeah.
you're very vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're just standing there.
Yeah, for any fast enemies which do any like
Movement at
moves,
all.
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, you can't
yeah,
you
it's
can't
terrible.
re-aim.
Yeah,
You're locked
that-
into a position.
that's why against dragons, before they even start doing anything,
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
yeah,
Ah.
these dragons are like slow with the first reactions, and then they just keep warming up and doing like crazy stuff. Yeah.
I still think this game is overrated. Do you have?
Well,
do you have
the other three of us really like it.
yeah. Look, I'm okay with being wrong.
Hey, look, isn't it one of the top 10 games of the last 20 years or
Yeah,
something?
I saw
rated somewhere. You
This
said?
is the reason I was talking
Yeah.
to Blake about it because there was a Reddit post of people voting for their top 25 games of the 21st century, and there were at least 2, possibly 3 from Soft, specifically
Yeah,
Dark
yeah,
Souls
yeah.
and Elden Ring games.
Yeah,
And I
probably
was-
Sekiro as well.
I think that
maybe,
was in there, yeah.
yeah.
And I just think
Dark Souls 3 is Sekiro and Elden Ring. Yeah, I think.
I I just don't agree.
Yeah.
I just hard disagree.
What was the number one on that list? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
You were just so annoyed that any FromSoft game made it to that list.
It might have been like The Last of Us 2 or Red Dead Redemption.
What about Baldur's Gate?
Baldur's Gate 3, I'm pretty sure was on there.
Okay. That's another one which I played.
I think
not lately, but some like I don't know, like a month ago, like finished fully. Yeah.
Wonderful game.
Yeah,
much better.
But
than
we can't. We can't. I don't think we can argue much here. So
that one I think we'll probably agree on. Hey, why don't we talk a little bit about your work? Because we've never had like a composer on here, or even really a musician, as far as I'm aware.
Andrew?
Was Andrew on here?
Yeah.
Was I on here when Andrew was on here?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, well, that was too long ago. Let's talk about it anyway.
Yeah, I think that was a long time ago. Yeah.
What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, it's like bouncing between actual composition, sorting references, listening to what I've done so far, so to like keep things more consistent.
Yep.
Making notes, writing briefs, and then occasionally, talking with designers and anyone who can help me with something
Giving
related.
You context.
Yeah. Like we used to talk quite a bit before.
Usually at the start of a patch cycle.
Yeah,
Trying
yeah.
to figure out the story, and I might have a vague idea of the boss or something.
Yeah, both lore-wise and design-wise to get idea about mechanics. Yeah.
Do when you're how important is consistency? Because I would imagine that like across multiple areas of some sort of subzone, like Belly of the Beast has like 3 levels to it. You'd want consistency, but maybe some ascension of stakes or whatever. But is it important for say Belly of the Beast to sound the same as Oriath?
No, I mean it's a different sound set, different instruments. But I mean PoE1 is as consistent as it could. No, I wouldn't say it. It could be way better. But I think that the PoE2 is it's a better example. Like because starting like from the beginning and like planning each of acts in terms of macro scale within an act, and then the major scale, major macro scale to get idea about consistency across the entire game. But also like thinking about the PoE1 as well, because it's not like
you want to call back to it.
Yeah, to a certain degree. It's just like it is mostly fresh, but there's some elements of evolution, So you want to take everything into consideration and then see what actually matter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I mean, PoE is kind of a lot of the time it feels a bit orchestral, heavy sort of acoustic instruments. But from memory, I think you started doing like electronica, right?
Yeah, electronic elements have been part of the PoE music
Belly of the Beast,
from pretty much from the beginning. Synth. But I think with the PoE2, this is more of a thing. It's more of a like experimentation of some granular synthesis, like using organic elements and like using a different processing to make it sound completely different. Like you have a short sample of like some ethnic horn, and then you make it sound like completely different. Like it's almost like a bending, detuned synth. So that sort of things, but it still sounds organic.
Do you, when you're doing something like that, when you're choosing a specific instrument to synth up, let's say?
There are moments when I know what I want to do and how I can do this, but many times it's like just trying things. So, like I know what I want to do with processing, but I might not know what source sound will be good for that. But
just quickly, do you use a lot of plugins for that, or?
Yeah, it's like a PoE is mostly based on virtual instruments. We have some live recordings, but again, virtual instruments are based on the live recordings mostly.
What live recordings Like, are there examples in game now?
Well, we recorded some elements for Karui. Yeah. So that was like a lot of recordings, a lot of like building like a tool set for that. So it's not just for what I actually needed, but also for future content as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because there's in that in that what was it? The Sorceress. Well, in that teaser trailer, the Karui teaser trailer, there was a lot of vocals in the in the soundtrack that was on that.
Yeah, and that's one of those more unique things. But then the way how you've got those things mixed, like you could expect vocals like this normally in more like unplugged environment, like it's. But here you have. Together with the big drums, together with some distorted horns or something, and then the vocals are processed differently. So it just sounds a little bit different than you could expect.
How often do we have vocals other than the actual like NPCs, but in the soundtrack? How often do we actually have?
There's another example, also from PA2. I think that was a part of mine and Kane's talk during ExileCon, having a siren's voice, singing a tune. So that was interesting thing because it doesn't sound like it comes from the music. It's like plays in the space. Comes from the source. But in the same time, with the way how I composed this was like writing a tune, having a mock-up of virtual instrument playing around, and having this as a really like a one of the instruments.
That's cool.
But then we recorded the real voice and separated this. But then one day for the soundtrack, it will probably come back as a one thing again instead of like
have it play from a different source in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
When you're composing, how often are you putting that music in game and playing around with it and just seeing how it sounds in the game space?
I basically. When I compose, I have a game on, like on the one screen.
Right, and I headphones on.
Yeah, actually, no headphones. I just have this game with usually with muted music.
Yeah.
If there's no music there, doesn't matter really.
Sure.
But sometimes I might have some placeholder there, and just listen to ambience and see the game move around. Like it's almost like responding to this. Like let's say you've got a Karui and you get some, and I start playing with some elements together and sync. Like you get instant response. And then I try to like tune everything to that, like how. Acoustically, it will sound good, like a reverb wise, echo, like what other instruments will fit, like some drones and things. So, yeah, it's just straight away getting idea if something fits, even if it's single instrument.
Interesting. That's fascinating.
Is this something that can really only be done when like an area is much further in development? But like doing that to a grey box area that's all pink cubes would be like impossible. Right? Even if this is a cool, this is a
stare at a picture of the concept art.
That's the thing. We have amazing concept art. And sometimes you have a concept art which is so close to how it will look later on in the game. Sometimes it's enough. It's enough to start. It's enough to get idea what instruments I want. It's not enough to tune everything the way it sounds right. It fits there in that space. But it's definitely enough to start.
So it's much like if the concept is basically kind of like a rough look of what the area is like, you can create a rough kind of feel for the music based on that for the area.
You just have to be careful because you said rough, but actually it's maybe too polished. When it comes to like when you have a concept art, it gives you like can give you like a different feeling. So you have to be a little bit careful, and the main thing is that you don't have monsters around, and they can really alter your like experience. So,
when you're composing, starting a track from scratch, do you have a set process? Do you start with rhythm? Do you start with melody? Or do you mix it up?
I mixed up. I think like it depends what source you have, what you have to work on. Like if it's a boss track, I might start with some rhythm because I just want to like emphasize this specific part of it.
Yeah.
But usually, what I want to do first is just to write a brief for myself. You know, because like when you watch concepts or so you see actual thing in the game.
Yeah.
It's way faster to write down with words than actually start composing. You don't have to stick to that, obviously, but it's just way easier to have some rules. Like I don't want this one to have like cheesy trumpet on top of it. You know, like because it just doesn't.
Your hands slowly drifting over the trumpet, and you look over the page. And, oh no.
yeah. It's just that's the sort of things which you want to. The more freedom you have, the harder it is to actually make anything.
Oh yeah.
You need to narrow down this to absolute minimum.
Yeah.
And then it's fine to break those rules, but just having any starting point.
It's a good starting point. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your current body of work. Do you have? I'm curious if you've got a track that maybe it's your favorite that you've done, like your proudest piece. And also maybe your least favorite. If there's one that you look back and you go, "Oh, I wish I hadn't done that."
I think for me, my favorite pieces are those which are not yet released.
I was wondering.
And those which are released, I'm usually like, I can't really change anything.
What about like a favorite trailer soundtrack?
Yeah.
Because those stand out.
I don't know. Maybe Siege of the Atlas, maybe Legion, maybe it's just those tracks which I don't feel like complaining that much. It's like I listen to those pieces and I don't like analyze too much like what I could
which
do.
Is hard when it's something you made.
Yeah, because I always like especially with the PoE2 is like constant iterations, like going back, listening, and especially when you have a process for a few years. It's like some pieces are like 4 years old. You know, so it just feels different. But
do you go back and redo stuff that you did 4 years ago because you feel like you can do better now?
I don't have time for that. I wish. I really
one
wish.
guy making all the music.
Yeah, that's true. Because well, I mean, environment art, I feel like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, with PoE1, not really, but I have there's at least 20 pieces in PoE1, which if I have time, I would remake like straight away.
Yeah.
At least 20. I would say to most of them.
Yeah.
Has your musical taste changed since you started working on PoE?
I think so. That's a really hard question. I think we get more experience listening to new stuff and like adding things, but I don't think like my general direction change, like what I like to listen, like because when I check my playlist, I keep coming back to specific things. Like if we talk about what I just listened, which is like completely unrelated to me to what I do, I don't think those things change much.
Okay.
But when it comes to strictly work, that's like a evolution for sure.
What do you listen to?
I mean, like soundtrack has all the genres.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing.
So you listen to a lot of soundtracks?
Yeah, I do. It's like trying to have two things at once. So like enjoying, because I also want to enjoy that as well. But
then it's also work, right? You're breaking it down.
Getting references. Then you have a situation when you just drive a car and or you have a workout, and I can have some synth wave or something. I can have some drum and bass. I can have some old stuff like Linkin Park. I can and if like there's a lot of things. I think it's just in most of the genres. I have something which I specifically like, and they have something in common, but it's not related to the genre at all.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite genre?
No.
Do you have a favorite band or song, or is it just? I mean, I imagine, you work in music, you have to have an extremely broad base of knowledge.
The questions like what is your favorite song are the most difficult.
Yes.
I could just take my phone and tell you what I listened in the last.
I'm curious
month.
what has been most listened to in your life.
And it could be probably some soundtrack, like some classics, like some Lord of the Rings, some no, that's not my favorite, but it's like one of those things which I listened so many times. Maybe some stuff which Hans Zimmer did, like something from Interstellar or something. Like I think there's so many that when I mention something, if I listen to that podcast later on, I will be like, wait a minute. No, there's something which, yeah.
Well, okay. Well, we've been talking about an overrated game, Elden Ring. Thank you.
No.
Do you think there's a soundtrack or a composer that you feel maybe gets a little more credit than they're due?
Too much credit. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I should say.
I'm curious though.
Well, what about the opposite?
Yeah. Do you have someone who you think is underrated? Oh, he's digging through his mind library right
now. Just in a very general way to say that, I feel like video game composers are very underrated comparing to film composers. Yes.
Yeah.
That's like a general thing. It's getting way better, right?
Yeah.
Like we get way more credits now. Like the music is more for video games. It's more popular. Games are way more popular.
Yep.
The budget is more bigger. So it's getting better. But what I'm saying is, like, I think video game composers are more keen to do some crazy experiments.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that the film composers are not. It's just those on the top level, the most popular ones.
I remember watching an interview. I think it might have been with, oh my gosh, I've forgotten his name. He composed The Simpsons theme. He's an Oingo Boingo. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, you mean was he the voice of Jack Skellington?
I don't think so.
He was an Oingo
Boingo.
Yeah,
Was he?
I'm pretty sure he was.
Anyway, he composed the music for that movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, that composer was talking about how there was a tendency in film post-production for temp track to steer the direction of soundtracks in a way that was frustrating for composers. I wonder if that is like a contributing factor, is just the method. Like in games, I don't know. I've never worked on a game where they used temp soundtrack from a different game, for example.
That's a thing as well. Yeah. But it's I think it's for a linear picture more of a thing.
Yeah.
Because I think, like I said, the film composers gets more credits and experiment less. But actually, then you have to consider this another thing, which is deadlines.
Yes.
It's completely different way of like producing so much in such a short time. So you need to use some shortcuts. You have a temp tracks, which sometimes help to get the music done as well. Because like, what is the fastest way to tell what producers and directors wants?
Yeah.
Like, okay, just make this Marvel piece.
Yeah.
Make the same way. Yeah. So it's tricky. It's just a tricky thing. But for games, you get temp tracks as well.
Yeah,
for sure. For trailers, for things. And sometimes, what is a good way of using temp track is when it comes mostly from composer to set up like a sketch, like have some structure, and then you completely get rid of that. You intentionally you can go away from that because you know exactly where you started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like with the inspiration, it's actually a great way to, you start with the copy, but then you end up with something completely different.
Right.
Because you are aware that you, what's the source.
Yeah, you're going against the grain very
Yeah.
intentionally.
While when you have a spontaneous creation, it can be way more tricky.
You can converge a little bit.
You can actually accidentally get too close to something because something is, in your mind somewhere there.
You've seen this 1,000 times, and it just starts leaking out no matter what you do.
Oh my god, I wrote such a good melody.
That's the Beatles. I've heard that.
It's not mine.
That's Hey Jude.
Yeah, that's like a typical thing, So that's sometimes like controlled inspiration, like getting rid of that and completely going almost opposite, but having some element which gave you the idea how to start. Starting is the hardest part.
Let's talk a little bit about work outside of PoE.
Yeah.
Now, you and I worked on a game,
Age of Darkness.
Age of Darkness.
Yes.
We didn't really work together.
Yes.
Exactly. But
we planned to work together, and but we actually didn't.
It was because I think you kind of built the sound font, right? You built the sound, but did you? And I think you did the composition for the early access launch, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how the pipeline worked after that point. My understanding, and I might be completely wrong on this, was you built sort of a sound font and you kind of gave direction to freelancers. So you worked
No. I made pretty much everything. It's just the idea was that because it's very granular.
Yes.
So when it comes to arranging that, in the game and like hooking with things, was up to guys from Playside. So,
right. That's right, because there's a lot of music stuff tied to actions, right?
I was giving feedback. I had some ideas, but I wouldn't say the way how the music works in the game as my thing. My thing was to create a toolkit, which is like mostly like segments, or sometimes layers, and have the general idea. Like I needed to like hit the right spot with the mood and with sound palette and we had some cinematics.
Yeah,
the cinematics are different things. It's just typical linear scoring for me, so it was my thing. But when it comes to like hooking this, like setting this up, so that's why the dialogue between you and me didn't exist because like how we gonna like make this work in the game. That was more like
ultimately on the sound team. Working separately.
But I think you joined a little bit later, right?
I did. I joined after early access.
Yeah. So if you would join like at the same time as me, then we would have a long conversation about the mood.
Yes.
And I had that conversation just with the guys from Playside back then.
Yeah, and I will say, I worked on that game. I did some okay work on that game. The soundtrack is probably the best part of that game. It's very, very, very good. Kamil did an awesome job. The mood when it transitions to night, the rhythm, it's very tense.
But you see the transitions, like how it works. That's many times. So
it's that the sounds, the choice of instruments, the sort of hollowness of it, the reverb sound. It just sounds great. So I think you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
When you aren't working on games, do you have like your own personal musical projects?
No, not really. I don't have. I really wish to have some time to work on something purely as a hobby.
Yeah. So there's no band camp we
can
send people to.
No. That's just maybe one day. Yeah. I just when I don't have when I have time, I just want to spend as much time with my girlfriend and just go outside.
Don't work, right?
And go outside.
Like
spend time out there.
Why aren't you working every second of every day?
All right. Well, I have one more question, and if you guys have any, feel free to jump in. But my last question is: where is the weirdest place inspiration has come? Is there anything where you were like just doing something, or you're listening to something, maybe listening to a piece of music that you had not expected to feel would be inspiring, and something came to you?
That's a good question, because I'm pretty sure there is something which is really weird. But sometimes you have some device and make some sound,
Yeah.
and use, but it's like something like unique, and I just think about specific instrument. It's just like the chain of reaction of
Yes.
thinking. Like it just bring the idea, which doesn't sound like this device.
Sure.
But
yeah.
it's just
but there's a series of steps to it.
It's
yeah.
a trigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked walking and listening references. This is the brain start processing things better, and the surrounding, like whatever you see sometimes can give you some ideas.
Now when I'm trying to come up with something weird for my job, which usually my current work requires me to come up with something new, something I haven't necessarily seen elsewhere, and the best place to do that is the shower.
Shower.
Yeah. Does that happen for you as well, where you're
shower?
Do you compose in the shower?
I no, but I plan days sometimes. Like
Okay.
I would start with this, and then I'll
Right,
do this
right,
and this.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you've got those 5 minutes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's there's a kind of famous thing called the shower principle, or where it's like it's when you're doing something automatically.
Yeah. Plus, it's
Yeah.
refreshing.
It's refreshing.
It's
It's a new space. Often it's bright.
Yeah.
And you're doing something that doesn't necessarily require thought because you've done it almost every day since you were born. And then your brain just starts going through, I guess, the backlog of things and just throwing weird stuff out.
Yeah. I can tell you that I have this thing which I really hate, but I can just deal with this. It's like many times the best ideas comes like right before I supposed to leave the office.
Oh,
yeah.
Because there's like specific hour, around 6, 7.
Is it because you're running out of time? Do you think it's the brain putting pressure on you, or what do you think the reason is?
Maybe there's no pressure. Maybe because there's no pressure. Maybe because it's like you think, okay, I don't think I can do anything positive anymore, and you start doing things which are more like just small things, like sorting something, and then suddenly it just hits, and you open session is you're like, but it's I'm supposed to finish now.
Well,
So what do you do then? Do you just keep working? Do you take notes? What do you do?
I can take notes.
Yeah.
Because that's like unconscious ideas, but sometimes it's just you have to write this melody or something.
I'll often get ideas in bed.
Yeah.
Like at midnight.
Oh, yeah,
no.
right before, as you're drifting off and you figure out how to do something.
And it wakes me right up, and I put a note on my phone, and I've got some weird notes.
That's the thing. Is like it's getting it out of your brain.
Yeah.
Like
So
even
you
just writing
can-
it down as a note, so it's out of your brain and you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
But what you're saying about having inspiration at like 6 p.m. after work, I get that too, and I reckon it's because the day is essentially over, and like it's kind of like the pressure of like, oh, we got to get stuff done, got to be productive. That's kind of gone because it's now after hours essentially, and now it's almost like you feel more freed up to try different things if something comes into your head.
Stop doing, start thinking.
Yeah.
It's like,
I have a different theory. I mean, I think both are actually valid, but the main thing is that how your day is structured. Let's say day before you played some game until late.
Yep.
Then you wake up.
Yeah.
Then you wake up. You go to work. You don't go to work like perfectly 7:30 or
No, you need
8
a
or something.
coffee.
Yeah.
And exactly. You try to reanimate your body.
yeah.
And sometimes
Very good way of putting it.
sometimes it takes
Call the necromancer. He comes in.
and there's everything distract you around that time. Like you want to check everything.
Yeah.
So you try to limit yourself, and then suddenly there's at lunchtime.
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
And after lunchtime, you have to reanimate your body again.
Sleepy after lunch. Yeah.
So I think the moment when actually your brain starts working with that sort of way of living is just around 5 maybe.
Would you restructure your day if you could? Like, is there something you would change to capture
No,
that?
I mean, if you want to, if you want to do your job, you would just you have to learn how to do something productive anytime. Anyway, like just like that. Even if you reanimate your body, you just you're more careful about what you pick.
Yeah.
Like when I like to do decision making morning.
Yeah.
But not like being like really creative.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting creative later on.
Yeah.
So decision making, like some technical things. I think the best thing is just go and talk with people when you have something to do, like specifically get information or something, listening to references or checking anything which is not purely spontaneous creation until you feel it, like because you need to enjoy this in order to make it actually happen. So, but there's so many different processes which you can do. You just don't do them at the end of the day when you actually want to do something cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm out of questions. You guys got anything? We're also out of time, so if it's okay if you don't.
I've got a question, and this is a throwback.
Elden Ring?
Pizza.
Oh boy.
Oh, pizza. Okay.
When you have leftover pizza, do you reheat it, or do you have it cold?
I rarely eat pizza, but
What? Hang on, that's the craziest thing we've ever heard on the podcast.
when I eat, I mostly I just eat the way it is, unless it's like cold, like really cold, like it was in the fridge.
Yeah, like if it was in the fridge.
Okay, well, I used to reheat things which you might not even expect to reheat, but for like only 20 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to get temperature to the point that it's like around the room temperature, maybe lower than room temperature.
Okay.
So I I would
hang on.
It's
Give me an example food here.
Yogurt.
What?
No!
Okay, that is definitely
You
unexpected.
microwave yogurt?
15 seconds.
No.
I can totally see this being fine.
No.
But
Yeah.
you like it slightly below room temperature.
Yeah.
So it's in the fridge. It's definitely
Actually, it's
well below
no,
room
it's just not
temperature.
cold. It's still kind of chill, but
Lukewarm?
no, it is still kind of chill, but it's not
Cool.
cold.
Okay.
Like really cold, like
Because fridges are like 4 degrees, right? 4 degrees Celsius,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah, that's what they
So
say.
if you can get that yogurt to 10 degree or maybe less than 10 degree.
Hang on, how do you reheat your yogurt?
No, you put in microwave for
Sorry, that's the
You're risking explosion, right?
That's wild.
no,
That's
it was
wild.
like 10 seconds or 15 seconds.
I've never met anybody who microwaves their
But
yogurt.
it's
I mean,
actually
neither have I. But
it's quite a new thing to me, but it works. It's just
Who
Okay.
introduced
What
this
the
to
thing
you?
is-
How did you?
What does this do? Because okay, you don't drink beer warm because it brings out the bitterness, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It changes the flavor profile. A lot of the time, like a cold food, the taste is more muted. Is that the idea? Like,
I think I actually stay away from like really cold things.
yeah. Why?
No reason. I just prefer.
You grew up in Poland. It isn't that part of the culture? Is it?
Yeah, -20. Yeah. Well,
and then you moved away and you were like, never,
Never
again.
again.
man, it's been
Like piping hot yogurt, please.
it's been like 9 years here. I've changed.
The thing is, I like room temperature water. Like if I want to drink a lot of water, I'll drink at room temperature.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, like,
same.
But what about in summer when it's like real hot out? Don't you prefer
if I
a
wanna,
nice
like,
cold water?
Sip, if I have super cold water, I can only sip it.
Okay.
Something about drinking like too much of a really cold thing is too much for me.
This is
So
I think it's like related. You when you work out, right? You want like a room temperature water.
Oh,
you
yeah,
you don't want like anything cold. It's just you don't want to like cool down your body and lose the energy. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like I just prefer like take a bottle from the from the crate, not from the fridge.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do with the yogurt. So you know.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that is still wild. Microwaving your
never heard of
yogurt.
that.
What else?
That's
What else?
amazing.
I want to hear another thing you microwave to warm it up. If there's anything.
No, I think that's all because I
Specifically yogurt.
I eat yogurt. I eat yogurt all the time. That's the thing.
Do you ever microwave ice cream to make it easier to?
No,
Like sometimes it's like hard, right?
it is
like
just
hard and-
cream.
Okay, I wouldn't go for microwaving ice cream. I want them cold. Yeah, because it's like
even Camille has limits.
I know what you're saying, because sometimes it depends on the temperature of your freezer. It can get like too cold.
Sometimes it's hard as shit. You just like your
yeah.
spoon's bending because you're trying to scoop it out. So you're just like,
you should
try.
buy cheap ice cream.
What you should
I'm buying
try.
vegan ice cream, which is maybe the problem.
Is it all coconut based?
Nah.
But then you can
not
just
usually.
wait.
Another one's
Cauliflower?
No.
Have you had the cauliflower
No,
vegan
I haven't.
ice cream?
I refuse.
It's good.
Is it?
I really liked it.
I don't care. I don't want it.
No, I will never try.
Anyway, Hell Pizza, where you microwave your pizza for just enough to be slightly colder than room temperature.
And then you put yogurt on it.
And you put yogurt on it.
30 seconds and yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Camille.
That was a pleasure, guys.
I don't know that I can ever look at you the same way, especially if you're holding a yogurt.
I thought you would mention Elden
that's
Ring.
A piping hot yogurt right there.
Who been blowing that yogurt?
If you've got questions, you can email frenzyquestions@gmail.com. That's really you can also go on our Facebook page and
Facebook page.
you should hit like and
YouTube
subscribe.
commenting on our YouTube is a good way to interact with us.
Yep,
that's basically the main way, really.
I would read out a question, but
but you threw the tablet away.
The tablet died.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, someone didn't charge it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Half an hour before the podcast was like, oh no, I forgot to charge it.
It's on 3%. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we'll be back ideally in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
We often say that, and then often there's like a month and a half gap.
Sometimes
the last one was
life
Christmas
gets in the way,
and
man.
stuff. So
Yeah, some people buy houses, some
Yeah.
people have family.
Yeah.
Not me though.
I mean, you've got both.
yeah, you've got both.
Yeah, I did it both already.
Blake just gets someone else who can argue about Elden Ring with Nick.
Yeah, this was an idea of like maybe we should just have guests on a rotating cast of guests all year who just love Elden Ring and
There's enough people in office.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, that is
For a year.
Yeah, for a year. Yeah, I think we can do it.
Boy. You know what? Bring it on. I know I'm right.
No, you're doing fine. Defending.
I know I'm right. All right. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Bye.
Bye bye.
More immersive than Baldur's Gate.
I mean more than actual story in Elden Ring. More of what happens.
As in like the emergent gameplay, basically.
Yeah. Emergent, not immersive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Even then, I don't know. Like, I was talking to Blake, and I think that the best part of Elden Ring is like the first third of that game, and that it gets worse and worse the further you go in. Like, the first dungeon, awesome. The exploration of that area is amazing. You can climb along the eaves of the buildings. You can drop down. There's all these different places you can go. There's like this deep area with like a secret boss and all sorts of cool stuff. Compare it to like the mansion, like the fire manor, whatever it's called, the volcanic area. Very little exploration. Like, it's much more linear.
It was weird.
And there's like a secret area you can get to, but only through a different dungeon.
Yeah.
And then like it seems like the exploration gets worse and worse the deeper you go.
Like Lindell, I think that's the name of this capital.
Lindell, yeah.
That's like at least second half. That's you don't get there too quickly.
Sure.
And I felt that was such an incredible experience.
Yeah, I really like
And
it.
on the many levels, because from one hand you've got a capital, this main surface. Then you have
the
sewers, and then out under the sewers you get even deeper things. Have you? Yeah.
I did the sewers.
You get catacombs.
I did some catacombs there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is that the main thing is that on the surface, the city is amazing and like
And there's
style.
layers above the city as well.
Yes.
In terms of
Yeah.
But even then, I felt like it was kind of a shallow experience, even compared to the first dungeon. Like, in the first dungeon, there's like chambers you can go into. Like, you can go inside the buildings. There's like a dining room with like a scion in there, and like a grafted scion.
Places you go into in the city as well. Granted,
less. And then there were also areas that you couldn't access that, but you could see, like the sewers. There's like a separate area in the sewers. Like if you go down the main road of Langdell, there's a big sewer grate.
Yeah.
You can't go back. You can't go in there until you've progressed past and returned.
Okay.
The sewer stuff is there's a huge difficulty spike when you go down into the sewers. So you kind of it's not really you're not meant to go there immediately. You're meant to kind of come back again.
I don't know, like you've got some of those knights of the heavy bows.
Yeah.
Snipers, and then you go to sewers, and I felt like
most.
They're annoying, but depend on what you play. Like if you can stagger them well, then they're almost like defenseless.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's like everyone's experience can be very much different, and which is great. But I have a question. What do you think about that? Like art style, how you feel about it? Because I know that you love
I think the art direction is amazing.
Okay.
The art direction is phenomenal.
Okay.
I think the way the world looks, the way each scene is composed, the way the bosses look, the animations are.
Except that one in the basement.
Which one?
That big tentacle thing that flies around.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I don't like about that game is they talk about how many bosses they have, and then you start to say boss 5 times, and that's one of them. The ulcerated tree spirit.
I think I'm quite subjective with this game because that art style, the world building, it's just affect I'm that sort of person. If I like some core pillars, my favorite ones, I can forgive some other things. When it comes to design, like specifically those quests, because it's I don't get informed. I don't get enough information. But in the same time, it's not like those things does not exist.
Yeah,
they are there, which is great. It's just it's annoying to discover that mostly from your friends' community or some websites. But the reason why I think this game is one of the best games of the decade is simply because if you use those extra sources and you're still freaking excited. That's why.
Different experience for me. For me, it was a chore.
Okay.
It was like if I play without a guide.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, I agree. But
I can play pretty well. But then there's vast amounts I will miss out on, and there's oh you idiot! Why didn't you just do this thing that you have to read a guide to do?
Do you usually 100% games?